You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Podcast Network. Find all of our shows at wearelibertarians.com. You're listening to the We Are Libertarians Network. Learn more at wearelibertarians.com.
Forgot what to do here. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Boss Hog of Liberty. This is episode number 346 of Eastern Irish Fair Broadcast. Jeremiah Morrill, Dakota Davis, executive producer, audio engineer, our coach, the man who we think we got Patreon in the can, Zach Burcham, a special guest and Politico analysis tonight, Brian Nichols. Dakota, what do we have planned? What are we doing?
Tonight is the special tornado edition of the Boss Hog of Liberty.
It's Tornado Watch edition. While you watch the show,
there is a active tornado in Muncie and Shelbyville right now.
If you are watching us for your tornado,
surrounded.
If you are watching us for your tornado coverage, you have chosen very poorly. We are microcasting for the political audience tonight, and if shit gets real, we're going to the basement. That's our promise to you. Shows about our lives in rural Indiana. We're here to push your boundaries and make you think as individuals. Sometimes we'll provoke you, other times we'll make you laugh, but hopefully you'll always learn something new. Dakota, we just did a Patreon.
That's right, patreon.com/BossHogOfLiberty. That's where you can go to support our show on a monetary level every month. That is how this beautiful studio gets paid for. That's how the lights stay on in the studio. And occasionally we need to do some upgrades, and that's how we pay for that as well. So it's really important to us, obviously, but also we think that we make it worth your while. We give you show notes whenever we have regular shows. We give you notes ahead of time so that you can follow along in the show. You know the questions that we are going to ask the candidates at the same time that the candidates get the questions. And anytime that we use links to find information, those are also in the show notes for you guys. You also get access to a Facebook group that is exclusive to Patreon members. That is where we do our bonus 20-minute episode every week, and our guests also participate in that. And that's where we
against their will.
Yeah, we eat weird foods and try strange drinks and do all sorts of stupid human tricks over there, and it's a lot of fun. So I think that it's definitely worth it. Boss Hog of Liberty, you can go to the website and click support now.
Do have to say thank you to the $50 and more a month club. They get to shout out at the beginning of each and every episode of Boss Hog of Liberty. That is John Phillips, Andy Moore, Buick GMC. I will tell you that I had a tragic brake lockup incident on my my GMC truck on Sunday. Pressed the OnStar button. They got me picked up and dropped off at Andy Moore on Sunday night.
Was it really that simple?
And I got to leave with my truck by 5:30 on Monday evening. Good to go for the month of May. So awesome. Thank you to John and the people at Andy Moore. Anthony Meyer, A Different Breed Logistics.
That's right.
Making all your. He's so helpful. He's
right.
He is just looking at the radar.
That's the sponsor.
He's literally looking at the radar. Is all he's doing tonight.
Yeah, I thought you were looking at me questioning that.
That's right.
A Different Breed was the name.
Checks out. Yep.
That is the sponsor.
Thanks
that is correct.
Yep. Check cleared. Yes. It's Sports Corner and Varsity Outfitters down on Memorial Drive here in Newcastle. They embroidered my shirt, and I've been talking to Blake all week long. He's working on some shirts for me for the day job too. So I dropped the shirts off, and we are getting very close to having those as well. So I'm getting excited.
And then this
I'm gonna
show,
have everything embroidered.
This show is the grand finale of the candidate series that we've been doing over the past 8 weeks. And
you guys crush it, by the way. Don't mean to interrupt. Every episode's been A+. So informative. This is how, frankly, Newcastle gets their political news and information. So
much appreciated.
Appreciate it, Jack.
Studio audience.
Wouldn't be possible without Wyland's Flowers and
Ink and Ale Brewhouse, who grand opening is tomorrow.
Anybody can go in tomorrow.
Just announced.
Wow.
That's right. The grand opening to the public is tomorrow, Wednesday, May the 8th.
Now,
They're
Dakota,
open for
is it
lunch and
just, is it, I was just going to say, is it just alcohol? And that's where you're going to say, no, there's food too. But
That's
okay.
correct.
Golf simulator.
It is family friendly. They have a
Axe
kids
throwing.
menu,
Win.
so
That's good times. Good
Axe
times.
throwing.
Yeah.
Wow. I've never done that before.
I haven't either.
Let's do it.
My entire family went without me one time and forgot to invite me. It's not a sore subject.
My sister.
I was probably out of town.
My sister was not invited to my cousin's wedding, but I was, as was my parents, and she
Was
was
there
not.
axe throwing?
She was not happy.
Was there axe throwing at the reception?
There might as well have been.
All right. So here's what's going to happen tonight. We are watching the election results come in. We are of mixed. Everybody in here, there are different political parties. So we are not a Republican-centric show, per se. However, we are sitting in the reddest of red counties. So if you went to vote, even if you are a card-carrying Libertarian, card-carrying Democrat, whatever, if you wanted to have any say in what happens in the local elections here, the Republican ticket is the one that you had to participate in. Okay? That's the disclaimer at the beginning of the show. So we are going to be focusing very much on a lot of Republican issues tonight, or races tonight, as we have since February.
there were billboards by Political Action Committee that went up all throughout the state of Indiana that said that was encouraging Democrats to pull Republican ballots during the primary because it was like, I think the Political Action Committee is like Make Indiana Center or something. Or the whole thing was trying to encourage, hey, to win an election in Indiana, you basically are running in the primary. In counties like this, the November election is determined by the May election. And in doing so, a lot of times we can get the most extreme of the Republican candidate because they are campaigning to Republicans only. That's how a primary is supposed to work.
Yep.
It is inter-party business. I get it. But that can be problematic whenever they are being sent to their elected positions to represent the entirety of their voting population. I see both sides of that Political Action Committee's complaints. I really do. And I'm not a, card carrying, as Jeremiah would say, Republican. I still have always voted in the Republican primaries. So I get it.
Okay. We have our first couple of election results statewide to cover and to get read into the record, because once we do get our county results, I think we're going to be very focused on that.
Do you know who won the Democrat primary for president?
Yeah, there were 0 votes cast. There were 0 votes cast. Nobody's even counting them. Joe Biden has been reselected as the Democrat for the state of Indiana.
And not even he knows it.
He'll find out eventually. Donald Trump, 78% of the vote in Indiana. There was a second candidate there, and a lot of people chose a protest. Nikki Haley picked up 22% of the vote so far. Statewide, the polls have only been closed in northwestern Indiana for about 40 minutes, but 26% of the vote is in Indiana, and Nikki Haley picked up 22%. Donald Trump, 78%. The big race, the most money was spent statewide, was the governor's race.
Millions.
$40 million race.
That's nuts.
$40 million.
For a state office. Wow.
Senator Mike Braun is probably going to be getting a new title. He's definitely not going to be senator anymore. That's going to be some other options. Mike Braun, 40% of the vote, 64,000 so far, leading Suzanne Crouch with 22%, and then a couple of independent, the wealthy businessmen. Brad Chambers is sitting at 17%, Eric Doden at 14%. Eric Doden was in Newcastle on Friday night looking for votes. He had a very rural-focused deal. Jamie Rittenauer and Curtis Hill both sitting there at 4%. So only 26% is in, but Mike Braun is going to be the Republican candidate for governor in the fall, facing Don Rainwater and Newcastle's own Jennifer McCormick.
I really appreciated the campaign that Eric Doden ran. Just based on everything that I saw from him, he was relatively, especially during the first few months, he was a relatively positive campaign, but then it was also very focused on smaller communities and smaller counties like Henry County and Newcastle. And, hopefully, even though I don't think that he ever really stood a chance, hopefully some of that messaging still can stick around, but we'll see.
Got ourselves a whiteboard over here, folks. So Braun picked up the first race you're going to look at. There are 4 congressional districts that are of note, including our own. Greg Pence is retiring. Jefferson Shreve, the guy that spent $20 million trying to get a job in the last little while,
I was gonna say,
running for mayor of Indianapolis.
What's the total tally for this guy just burning money trying to get involved?
$13 million in the mayor's race, and at last count, about $7 million for the congressional seat. He's currently 25% of the vote is in. No Henry County numbers yet. Jefferson Shreve sitting at 29%. Jameson Carrier sitting at 22%. Mike Speedy at 19%. Only 1,500 votes separating those 3. Our current state senator and Boss Hog alum, Jeff Ratz, 12%. Bill Frazier, who woke up and finally ran a campaign in the last week.
Yeah.
Bill was an advisor to Ronald Reagan, and 45 years ago he was a state senator in the 1960s. Okay, he's from Muncie. I think he's got some ties to Henry County, and they definitely got the signs out today. I noticed a lot of Bill Frazier signs that were put out today. They are sitting at 9% of the vote right now with that.
Doesn't he have a picture on his website of him shaking hands with like Gerald Ford
with Ronald Reagan? Yeah.
No, your audience, man.
There's a voicemail from Mike Pence. So in 2000, Bill Frazier ran for the seat when Mike Pence finally got elected to Congress. He was an independent candidate, picked up about 10% of the vote. He's done this before. John Jacob, former state representative. Schmidt.
That was 6%. My brain was in the same spot.
And Darren Childers, they're all 3% right now. So that is not called yet. But if you have a television in the Indianapolis metro market, you got a lot.
Jameson Carrier, I think that his campaign really picked up a lot of momentum in like the last 6 weeks, and then in the last week, there was a lot of dirt coming out on him and the mailers about
very angry mailers between Shreve, Carrier, and Speedy.
Talking about he had declared bankruptcy. He had $171,000 in credit card debt at one point in time. He is registered to vote.
Impressive.
And his primary homestead exemption is in Fort Myers, Florida. Not even here.
That's the life of an RV executive. You don't understand what it's like to be a rich guy that can fund his own campaign for governor or Congress.
How do you get $171,000 in credit card debt?
Yeah.
How does that happen?
So, how have you tried?
One of the articles that I read.
Apply yourself.
You know what? Having just gotten back from Disney World.
Okay, there you go. Yeah.
He also had a bunch of property tax liens happen. Like he wasn't even paying his property tax.
Let's not get Dakota sued. Allegedly.
And then
the campaign mailer said
allegedly.
And then in an article I read, and this was not a campaign mailer, it said that one of the loans that he had taken out for his business when he declared bankruptcy actually put some smaller area federal credit union in the red on their books after he declared bankruptcy.
I think he has Greg Pence?
Totally screwed a local credit union. So it was like, because I was a little like, I was hearing what he was saying. I'd been listening to WIBC and hearing what he was saying. He seemed okay. He's a younger guy. He's already got that going.
He's an RV industry executive.
That's a major point for him in my book for being young and well put together. And I thought I had been decided for Jeff Ratz, and then I'm like, oh, well, this Jameson Carrier guy sounded pretty good. And then I started seeing all the dirt come out, and I was like, well, I guess that.
I love how Dakota just opens his ballot up on the show and is like, hey, so here's what I did.
Yeah, that's what I did. And I'm just walking you through how I made the decision. I definitely.
And you know what? The audience likes that. That's why we like Dakota.
Yeah. I can tell you for sure I was not going to vote for Jefferson Shreve, and I was not going to vote for Mike Speedy.
I obviously have my own views, but I try to play this stuff just right down the middle, just keep it in the fairway.
Well, I always do, like during the candidate interviews and things, but now this is the grand finale.
You learned the lesson.
You mostly do. Now you do.
Yeah, now I do.
I like Ron Milford points out though, to get in $171,000 worth of credit card debt, you have to have at least $172,000 in the credit limit.
It's true.
How is this guy talking this many people into like this guy is like more leverage than Elon Musk?
Hey,
at times.
We don't know yet. The man may have talked to the District 6 into putting him in Congress.
Yeah, that's
some
true.
Some of the political, like I am very fortunate. I do not watch much live anything, but some of the ads were so just like, I hope that nobody believes these, but I know people do, where they would play a soundbite with zero context.
Oh, 100%, yeah.
Like there was one, I think it was probably where somebody was running against Jefferson Street. It was just him saying, I'm a moderate Republican. But there was nothing before that, nothing after, it could have been him quoting another politician.
That was Jefferson Treat.
Yeah, but it was saying his audio. But they played it
because whenever he was running his mayoral campaign for the city of Indianapolis, his whole thing was like, you guys can trust me. I'm a Republican, but I'm not super hardcore Republican. And he was trying back then to distance himself as far as he could from Trump. And he was not trying to be Trump.
The same ad calls him out for that as well.
Right.
Listen, I'm never going to try to downplay another news organization, but just look at In Focus. They do not look like they're having fun. They're in suits. They look like they're uncomfortable. You would much rather be hanging out with Boss Hog tonight.
I'm just saying. To me, to be honest.
Like this guy's like, he's like, here's the analysis tonight, folks. It looks like Mike Brown's going to win. Was that surprising to you, Dakota? Like that doesn't sound fun. You get to hang out with us. This is a lot better.
That guy in the blue suit and the gray hair. Isn't he like a member of the Trump team?
Is he?
I think so.
Sure. So we are. Dakota is commenting now on what's happening on another channel live on the air, or our podcast,
which is around the corner,
which is the best possible.
That's great radio.
I don't even know what channel he's watching.
I forgot you're over there too.
Next year, when Dakota is on the show for this, we are going to put horse blinders on him, so he's not allowed to just the television.
This is my fault. I took the
stream of consciousness.
Yeah,
I'm the one that brought us the television.
They just didn't look like they were having fun. I just want to call it out.
A couple more races that. Thank you for choosing Boss Hog tonight for all of your campaign needs. We'll tell you the fun and interesting stuff. Boss Hog alum Jim Lucas. 1% of the vote is now leading in District 69, 57 to 43% in his primary.
I was going to say with 1%, I was like, if you tell me it's 57 votes to 43, that's all that's in, and they're like, yeah, we're declaring this.
Win. Call it.
Check it.
We're just going to call it. It's over. The other really fun one, Brian, do you remember Hunter Smith, the Indianapolis Colts punter? Hunter the punter?
Yeah.
Back in the day. He's running for a state house seat.
Is he?
And he may win. 62 to 38 in the Republican primary.
He was the punter before Pat.
Yes,
right?
Before Pat McAfee.
He was the one that was like peak Peyton Manning.
Yeah.
No, like he would not kick for like
idiot kicker.
Yeah. No, there was an entire playoff game he never kicked.
There were like times where he would go 3 or 4 games without kicking because
that's awesome.
The Peyton Manning's the Colts at the time were just not punting.
Yeah.
Like ever. They were just.
That's like 03 when Manning had an insane season.
Yeah.
So another interesting thing for Henry County today that we did not talk about on the show, we made an executive decision that maybe we didn't want to subject the listening audience to a single school district referendum race, but Blue River Valley has a property tax increase on the books as well, which I'm interested to see what happens there. So that's going to be one that's going to come in today. We haven't really shared with the audience, but I don't think that since the Constitution changed in Indiana, we've had a Henry County property tax referendum. So you're capped in at 1%, but for the Children's Act in Dakota,
I didn't realize that only the people who lived in that school district got to vote on it.
Yeah, because it's your tax rate. So if you lived in Blue River or Prairie Township, you get to vote in that.
How funny would it be to just go like Dakota gets to vote in Spiceland? He's like,
Spiceland, yeah,
sucks to be you guys, Moreland.
Crank it up, Moreland and Mount Summit. Sorry, you better love those kids.
I just had never looked into it. Yeah, we've never
3 places in the state of Indiana. There are school referendums: Henry County with Blue River, Marion County, Pike Township, the school that educated now suspended Penske executive Tim Cindric and outgoing governor Eric Holcomb, and Brown County schools. Those are the 3 spots that are doing school referendums today. Brown County also, Boss Hog listener Aaron Hardin is running for surveyor as a Republican. And he made a post today. It said, if you want to vote for me today, vote in the Republican primary. But if you want to vote for my dad, go pull a Democrat ballot. So I don't know what his dad's running for, but they're in opposite parties in the same county.
That's rough.
Spectacular. I hope they're running against each other.
His poor mother.
Could you imagine the family? If you had one, Brian, What your dad's running as Republican and you're the Democrat candidate in the fall.
So it's actually really funny. Kind of same church, different pews. And my dad was a legislator for 15 years in my home county. And there was a girl that went to school with me. She was a year ahead of me, and she lived right down the road. And I used to go for walks down the road when I was trying to lose weight back in the day. And I remember my dad was running for election, and there was a guy who was running against him.
You're beautiful just the way you are, Brian.
I love you so much. Thank you, baby. And the husband and wife were Republican Democrat. So whenever I'd walk by their house, they'd have my dad's sign and my dad's competitor sign in their front yard. And they were the only house I've ever saw that had like two signs for the same position, but the competing sides. So
are they divorced now?
They moved. So, maybe that's why they moved. I don't know, but probably.
So while we're stalling here and we're waiting on more results to come in, how was the voting experience for everybody? I rolled in on Saturday morning to the REMC, the new polling location at the REMC. I know at least building owner Scott Frost rolled in at Ivy Tech and said, "Oh, they're not voting here anymore," because they moved it across State Road 3 to the REMC building.
I did the same thing this morning.
I literally walked down the road.
Did they let you into REMC?
Yeah.
They were cool with that?
I had to, yeah. Yep.
Did you drive your work truck?
No.
Oh, you should have rolled in.
I should have.
Four-letter power company. Just
have his vest on.
Yeah.
Have your hard hat.
I saw Jonathan Phillips. He was working the REMC this morning. So I got to talk to him.
So, Brian, did you vote early?
No, I voted this morning
at the election office here.
No. Well, no, I just didn't get to it.
Right. I'm just saying.
But no, I walked to
the Arts Center.
Art Center. Yeah.
Yes.
Yep. Quick. It was good. Yeah. Like in and out in 5 minutes.
So on primary day for Brian.
Yeah.
And on Dakota primary day, no lines.
Correct.
Yeah. I waited in line for maybe 35 seconds.
By the way, the Henry County REMC building is a much better voting location than an Ivy Tech.
Oh, for sure.
They were able to put like a ton of machines in there.
I think when I voted, there were like 4 or 5 machines when I voted early on Saturday. I don't know how many there were today for the big show.
There was a lot. There was
it was probably like 12
rows of tables.
I'd say there's probably 12 in the Art Center. I'd say.
Yeah, I'd say similar.
They had good staff number of folks there too. Probably like 7, 8 people.
Zach, there were only 2 workers there. And when I think we were the first voters of the day on Saturday morning. And then it was a carload. There were 4 of us today because I drove the senior citizens at the polls. I took my in-laws.
Look at you.
I got my sticker and everything. It's in the truck. They were like panicked. And then there were 2 more behind. So they went from 0 to 6 in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So it was a busy morning down there. No free candy.
I ran to the Art Center and voted.
So you voted this morning.
Mm-hmm.
Same experience. Did you see Brian?
No, I went a little bit later, probably like 10-ish.
Oh, I was like 7 a.m.
Yeah, I finished a meeting, did a quick workout, and then I walked to the Art Center. So.
Zach, did you pull a Republican ballot?
Yeah, I did.
He wants to have a say.
Yeah,
did it feel dirty? Was it okay?
I'll tell you what, it is a weird
Did the
thing.
Democrat judge look at you in shame?
No, because here's what's like awful. And this Brian might not have this problem. I knew almost every judge in there. Like all the poll workers were in there. It was Beverly Matthews was the Democrat, and I knew Mickey Hoy was the Republican. So I'm like, I know them. As a matter of fact, if it would have been election day, I probably would have had coffee with either one of them when I went out with them. So yeah, and so I knew half the poll workers. I was like, and it felt weird, but my mom said when she was in there, they would ask them, and people would say, "Yeah, I'm a Republican today." And they would just straight up be. I even thought to myself, I'm like, there should really be some kind of contingency for if you're in a place where there is nothing going on the other ballot, that you just get the ballot where there's something to vote for.
I saw Robin.
I would say Republican, I suppose.
I saw Robin Reno Fleming on Friday night and at the Elks Club. I said, "You vote?" And she's like, "Yep." I said, "You going to pretend to be a Republican for the day?" Hell no, she's not. She's still true red or true blue, I guess.
I wanted to have there was a couple of those races. I'm like, I want to have a say because this person, whoever's going to get out of here, is going to be the one that gets elected in the fall. So I don't want to,
See, and this is where approval voting or ranked choice voting would solve so many of these issues. Because to your point earlier, you don't want to have a situation where the hyper radical candidates end up basically being the 2 main candidates that a majority of folks don't want to vote for. But at the same point in time, it opens up opportunities for third parties to actually have a relevant seat at the table. but also offer legitimate alternatives that your average person would be palatable to. But at the same point in time, you still get that good feeling from a strategic voting standpoint of voting your values, voting your principles, and prioritizing those. So
when you have 6 people running, 6 credible people that got on the ballot in Indiana for governor, ranked choice voting would have made a lot of sense.
Oh,
and
absolutely.
You would have had somebody. Now, Mike Braun got to 40%, which is still not 50, but in a 6-way primary, that is a huge number to have gotten to 40. But the same story here in the 6th congressional district with what's going to end up being a couple votes either way in this 6th race. Ranked choice voting would be spectacular when you have so many names on the ballot, as Abdul Hakim Shabazz says, the CVS receipt for a ballot to choose from. Victoria Sparks 39% right now. Nothing's called yet. 39%. Chuck Goodrich is 33%. Max Engling, young guy running from Hamilton County, sitting at 10%. 6th District Congress. Jefferson Shreve's lead is expanding. Over 51% in. Shreve 29, Carrier 21, Speedy 20, Rotz 11, and Frazier 9%.
It's not good for Jeff.
So yeah,
poor Jeff.
And that's one where
at least he didn't give up his state Senate seat.
Correct. It's a free shot at it. He spent $100,000 and couldn't get on TV. Compared to the other guy, the three guys above him are all independent bajillionaires and spent just self-financing themselves.
And my mailbox showed it.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. The texts, the mailbox, the TV campaigns.
I avoided the texts, but
you didn't get. So you're not on the record as a Republican voter until now.
Yeah.
Now next year,
you're
2 years from
hammered.
now, Zach, you are.
And you just wait for the next presidential election because they're gonna have your data too. It's gonna be so much fun.
I didn't think that I was getting the text until this morning, whenever we were all talking about it in the group chat, and then I opened up my spam text message folder.
I have so many spam.
It was inundated.
I've only gotten a couple because I usually get a notification on my phone that says you received a text message and went to spam. I bet I've only gotten a handful, but I never checked to see what they are. But man, the mailers were one frequent and like large number. Like sometimes you get 2 or 3 in a day, and also
straight to the trash.
Enormous. Like some of there's one of the Jefferson Shreve ones, which was like larger than a legal size sheet of paper.
They're billboard size.
Yes,
they're billboard size, like directly into your mailbox.
Yeah, they would be like triple folded to get down into your mailbox, and I was like, I don't care, and I'm straight to the trash can. They all say the same thing. That's you talk about the extreme. You get the extremes with political candidates in the primary.
Every single one of them is a Trump Republican.
They are all self-made. Yeah, pro Second, like they are all saying the exact same thing, and then it's the
Jefferson Shreve was anti-Second Amendment until he wanted to run for Congress. He was all about grabbing guns when he was running for mayor.
So I don't know if you guys know this, but in Indiana, if you get a text message, there has to be a real person on the other end of it for these political things. By law, by rule, whatever, they have to have a real person there. So if they send you the text, there's somebody there reading it. So if you curse them, they're reading it. So I got the standard blanket Jefferson Shreve one today. And I just texted back and said, still trying to take guns away for Dakota. And they said, Jefferson supports the Second Amendment. That was the reply I got back. It's like, This is literally my reply back today. What was his first major policy announcement when he ran for mayor of Indianapolis? Unforgivable, especially in a rural congressional seat. Their campaign texted me back and said, what he said for certain portions of Marion County to combat, this is potentially a new congressman, what he said for certain portions of Marion County to combat violent and record crime is much different than on a federal level. He will support and defend the Constitution of at the federal level, including the Second Amendment. Oh, we have people.
I was like, who's coming into the studio?
Betsy Mills is in the
door.
building.
I'll be honest, I was like low key scared until like
I was too.
Do you have papers, or are you just here to chill time with us? Have a seat. Outgoing Councilwoman Betsy Mills, the Leslie Noble of our program. Godspeed on the headphones working tonight. It's been an adventure.
If we're loud, we're sorry.
They're also falling apart.
Welcome.
Thank you. Uninvited. I just crashed.
You always have an invite here.
Thank you.
So you're not doing your job. You're supposed to be like a block north of here, waiting and watching.
Yes, we are. But, and I just asked many questions to confirm that I have not forsaken my duties. But we're still waiting on Louisville. And then even then it's going to be 10, 15 half hours. So
yeah. So we have vote centers in Henry County. So there are at 10 or 15 different places where people voted, and all of those machine data have to get dropped in.
Yeah.
So anybody that voted in Louisville, 103 is still closed. They could be just in traffic. They could be somewhere in Richmond trying to find their way back up here.
Yeah, it's a cool process to watch. I was at Mountain Summit today, volunteering for a friend, and just watching. Everybody's really on their game, and it's really impressive what our poll workers and inspectors do. And I personally really like the format of I do it electronically, but also there's a printout. You've got a physical receipt, and you've got quicker reporting because you got the electronic. I think that's the way to go.
The new Republican voter in the room in here was very surprised when they had to select candidates for precinct delegates.
Yeah.
So that all has to get calculated today as well.
Yeah.
And they get to decide. Normally, you get to decide if we're raising taxes, but today the people of Prairie and Blue River Township get to decide.
Yeah, that was interesting.
Taxes.
There were a lot of people talking about that outside the polling station, and there was a guy with a table who was rude, and but he had a big banner, and it was talking about why not to vote for it. And we had an interesting discussion about funding. Not that I have a strong opinion about it. I really haven't researched it much. I don't live there, but we talked about school funding, and he seemed to think that Blue River had done a terrible job with money management. And I said,
is there news? No.
I'll tell you what it is later. I'm actually reporting to media networks for another county. So they're wanting me to call in my results that don't exist. So I'm making $100. But I said, it's really hard at this level, the local level, when we have barely 2 nickels to rub together. And then the superheroes, the State House, have $6 billion in reserves. So if you're going to be mad at somebody, be mad at the State House. Don't be mad at your neighbors for looking at ways to pay their teachers better. I mean, state's got to do better.
So how many candidates were up there in Mount Summit today? Just the school board folks? Or did they have others?
Yeah. And I was volunteering, and then Judge McCord's daughter and son-in-law were there too, which was fun because I grew up with Kelly and got to catch up with them, and it was fun.
Brian, we were talking about the mailbox being full. You're a relatively new voter in the county.
Yeah,
you've not made it 4 full years yet.
Year 2
to been through all the cycles. So it's your second time getting a county, first time on the county ballot, I guess.
Yes.
Did you get all the mailers as well, or not yet?
I think we got mostly is for state and congressional. I don't think we got a lot for
Yeah, he voted. I would imagine he voted in the city Republican primary.
Yeah,
or there wasn't one. Was there? Did we have a primary? God, I've lost track.
No,
we just had a city election.
Just city election.
Yeah. So they don't know.
Yeah,
you're not a good Republican until today.
I guess not.
Where'd
my permanent record go? I voted in PA and New York. I was a good Republican.
I don't know if those transfer. Did you ask them?
My credits don't transfer. What?
They send your file?
What was all that for? For nothing?
We are very new as a community to bringing folks in from out of state. They're still trying to
figure out what to do with me.
Trying to figure out how to process that file.
It was good though.
All right.
Yeah.
So so far we've declared Mike Braun as one
I've heard
Governor Braun.
That's too bad.
Allegedly,
in my opinion.
I know.
Allegedly. We don't know. We got Rainwater was second place in Indiana in Henry County last time, and we got a hometown girl that's going to be on the Democrat ballot. So I don't know how Henry County is going to go in the fall by any means. We do have one contested statewide race on the Democrat side. Mark Carmichael has lost to Valerie McRae for U.S. Senate. So McRae 67 2-1 going to go on to the fall to face Jim Banks.
What about House 6?
House District 6, it's still pulling away. Shreve is at 28, Carrier 21, and Speedy is now drawn into a tie. They're within 50 votes of each other. And Rotz has actually slipped back to 10% into a tie with Bill Frazier, who once again started campaigning this week. I just made that drive from Muncie to Newcastle today, and I don't know how many signs they bought, but I think half of them are between the Henry County line and Newcastle.
My mom actually had a sign in her next door neighbor had a sign in their yard for him. I was like, who is that? Because I had not seen the sign anywhere.
They started popping up in Spiceland literally last week.
He left me the weirdest voicemail.
Yeah. He's a retired farmer. He's in his mid 80s. And in the 1960s, he was a state senator in Indiana. Yeah. Oh, here we do have a race to call. Congressional District 8. Legislator Mark Messmer is going to win. It was an open seat. Larry Bouchon had retired. And John Hostetler, who was a congressman back in the 2000 age, he's going to move on. So Messmer's going to win 6 or win 8 rather. Do you remember anything about John Hostetler, Dakota?
No.
If you Google him, you'll find that he once tried to take a gun through the TSA airport.
That's not a good idea. Don't do that.
We're covering the hard-hitting topic.
Yeah.
That's
just the
frowned
things
upon.
that are memorable. He was a sitting
that.
member of Congress at the time.
It was a
Holy
big deal.
cow. You're not supposed to do that.
He was in Congress for 12 years.
Yeah, he was around a long time. He was one of the very few Republicans who voted against the Iraq War at the time, which was definitely had him on the outside.
Good for him. From 1995 to 2007.
Not making the comeback, though. So Mark Messmer is going to be probably going to be the congressman there. Interesting. All right.
He ran for U.S. Senate in 2010.
Yeah.
But how is Nikki Haley doing?
So
there's about as good as you thought.
There's a whole subsection on his Wikipedia page that is titled Airport Firearm Possession.
Until these results come in, this is the story you're going to get, folks.
On April 20th, 2004, Hostetler was briefly detained at the Louisville International Airport when he attempted to board a flight for Washington, D.C. with a loaded 9mm Glock pistol in his briefcase.
Loaded.
Is that not allowed?
The congressman explained that he
Was I wrong?
completely forgot that the gun was there and called it a stupid mistake.
Yep. Big stupid.
That's
Big
a good answer.
stupid.
Well, I know Jefferson Shreve won't make that mistake because he doesn't want your guns at all. Donald Trump, 78%, Nikki Haley, 22%. So 22% of the Republican voters, maybe they're not going to be in the fall, but 22% went against Trump in the primary.
Yep.
Like 43,000 votes.
Up to 67,000, according to the AP WTHR.
What are we going to do if it's Trump and Biden? I mean,
I voted against Trump today, and I will vote against him again in the fall.
Once again, I love that Dakota just takes his ballot and opens it up for the people today.
It's the season finale. You got to know. Well, we going to end this with questions? We're going to be like lost?
It's the primary.
Not going to happen.
I'm not
November's
sure.
the
I'm not
season
sure.
finale.
Well,
Giving away the farm.
This is like a Netflix show.
Yeah.
This is at the end of season 1.5.
Yeah.
It really Jeremiah is anticipating having problems getting Biden and Trump in here if he openly voted against Trump in the primary.
We've already had one presidential candidate on the show. Mike Termott was here.
He was here. That's right. I forgot.
He came in building.
How tall is he?
I don't know, 7'6".
Oh, shut up. He's been on my show like 4 times, but it's always been through a computer screen, so I've never met him in person.
He was
very nice.
He was perfectly average height.
Okay, I was just curious.
Yeah,
it's a weird question. I'm genuinely curious.
Betsy, well, you're welcome to the Pappy if you want to crack that open tonight.
It's just like
yeah, just mix it with Coke. The 3rd congressional district is also open because Representative Jim Banks is probably getting his promotion. Former Congressman Marlon Stutzman, he's trying to get back in there, and it is an incredibly close race. Similar to the 6th district, they have 8 people on the ballot, and the top 4 are all within 5 points of each other.
South of us now.
it is.
Dakota, how's the weather?
It's all pushing south. Everything that was supposed to be coming right through to us.
Dakota was promised trauma and overtime, and it's not happening.
I have my work clothes in my duffel bag in my truck, ready to go.
Mm-hmm. Fully expecting it. I'm surprised you didn't take the box truck or the bucket truck here today.
Yeah,
and just have it running and the flashers on.
I'm drinking water. I have my work clothes in my truck. I was ready to go.
Yeah, you used to have that big boy when you would go to any time in the morning sometimes.
Yeah, during COVID, I got to drive it home. They even put a sweet mount for my laptop in my truck.
Those will work better if you plug them in, Betsy.
Yeah,
Very nice.
It's been a long day. And,
She's like, why couldn't I hear you guys? That's why.
We've got all kinds of.
I'm not sure you want to hear
I've
us
never been
today.
here before, so please excuse me.
It's like your 12th appearance. Chuck Goodrich. So the 5th congressional race, we started talking about this a little bit on Patreon, Brian, and I rudely interrupted you. Jerk. Victoria Spartz, you heard her on a podcast and you fell in love today.
No. How did you go that route? No. I thought she was really good. I don't think she's particularly great. I just thought she was really good.
So
she was solid.
So Spartz has been a congresswoman for like 4 years, 6 years, somewhere in there.
I appreciate her story.
She took over for Susan Brooks, and she last year said, "I might resign Congress. I hate it here."
Which, I mean,
I've heard that from
you know what?
I get it.
You know what? that statement alone might have earned me a vote.
I was going to say, like,
because let's be honest.
Greg Penn said the exact same thing to me.
I'm in a group chat with some people involved on the county government and in the city government, and it's always like, I might quit today.
I'm offended that I'm not part of that, because I would be part of that.
I mean, I think we can agree that Congress might be the most dysfunctional government entity almost on earth.
Right. So it's got to be 10 times worse than what those folks in our group chat are experiencing.
So
and candidly, it was designed to be that way, which is hilarious at its root, that they're like, we're just going to make it so bad that you guys are going to want to quit. So new people have to come in, so you have new ideas.
2-year cycle.
Until you have like Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, and they're like 3,000 years old.
Sparks said, "I don't want to do this anymore," and said, "I'm gonna not seek re-election."
But then China Chuck put his name in.
So
she
Chuck Goodrich, who owns Gaylor Electric, former employer of our friend Chase Payton, Boss Hog co-star. Chuck Goodrich jumped in the race, as did a bunch of other folks, including Matt Pfeiffer, the Boss Hog alum. Chuck put a bunch of his own money in the race, and then at the very last moment, Victoria Spartz had a change of heart and got on the ballot after Goodrich had been in the race for about 5 months, running for an open seat, and he says, "I ain't quitting. I spent all this money." So now they have been in a negative, nasty, very expensive campaign on the TV. And right now it's within 2,000 votes either way. 40% is in.
Did you see the tutu mailer?
No. Oh, yes, I did. Yes. They had Chuck Goodrich in pink.
I think tutu.
Yeah. The mail. This has been the most negative campaign I've seen without Mike Pence on the ballot and without Eric Holcomb on the ballot or Mitch Daniels. Those three were like the I will never campaign negatively guys, and John Gregg, Rex Bell, all those guys would not go negative. And now, without any of these established folks there, we have just seen the total negativity on the statewide side.
Yeah, but Spartz's ads have been pretty funny. The tutu, China Chuck, they've all been.
Gee, I wonder
good.
where they're copying from.
They were good, and then
it's effective.
But then what I thought was hilarious was like 2 weeks ago, Chuck Goodrich came out with an ad, and it was trying to tie Victoria Spartz to China as well. And I was like, bro, what are you doing? You're losing, son. This is grasping for straws here, boy.
I love good. The governor candidates and also the 6th district candidates. It seems like they're all just saying the most ludicrous, exaggerated things. You hate police because one time you walked by a BLM rally, and it's like, okay.
I swear the negativity in the 6th district race, after about Friday, I thought, if Mike Speedy wins, I'm pretty sure they're saying that he's gonna make me put illegal aliens in my garage. They are that strong, saying that he is that weak on the border. And I listen, I've been trying to get Kentucky people to stop coming here for a long time and secure the southern border, but it doesn't work.
I got to tell you guys something funny. So I had 2 congressional candidates call my cell phone directly, which I really appreciated. I thought that was cool. And that was Jefferson Shreve and Jameson Carrier. And I put both of them through their paces. And Carrier, he really nice guy. I think he has a lot to bring. So no shade here, but he has.
Did he have an Indiana or a Florida phone number when he called? Do you remember?
Indiana.
Okay. Well, that's smart.
Yeah. Does he spend a lot of time in Florida?
Oh, from the mailers. He lives there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Register to vote there.
I
Takes
just throw
property
them
tax
away.
there. Yeah.
As someone who spent a fortune on mailers, I just don't even. I just study them sometimes. But anyway, I'm talking to him, and he's fashioned himself as a Trump Republican, but he doesn't seem very Trumpy. But all of his website, everything, he stands with Trump. And this was right after the Trump Bible came out, and he's talking about being a proud Christian. And I was like, look, Jameson, the Trump Bible, how you feel about it? And he just, you could tell. And I was like, look, I understand the game. I understand why you're tying to him, but a $60 Bible? Are you serious? Like, Can you even take that seriously? And any sane person has no response. And I was like, I'm not trying to mess with you. Like, I really appreciate our conversation. He was exceptionally kind, and it was very, he had great things to say, but I was just like, come on, man.
I already opened up this part of my ballot, but I had started to think about maybe voting for Jameson Carrier until I saw the mailers. So the mailers actually did sway me.
Yeah.
Not really. I was pretty decided I was going to vote for Jeff Rotz, but I will say the mailers might have done something.
Yeah, I get it. Jefferson Shreve too it was a great conversation. I asked him to, and he's like, he's not my first choice. And I was like, that was very politically worded. Good answer. Like, yeah.
For 62% of the vote is in so far in that. Will be interesting to see. Shreve's still up 28%, Carrier and Speedy 21% each. Second place right now is 10 votes between Carrier and Speedy. They are dead nuts even.
You're not first, you're last.
Well, no, Darren Childers is in last with 1,000 votes.
I don't even recognize that name.
Okay, how many votes does it say he got? The
Shreve,
yeah,
12,000.
Okay, and how much did you say he spent?
So far, $20 million over the last year for two jobs.
Okay, so we got 12. I was going to do the math on this. So we got 20 million. That's a lot of zeros. So let's click in. Divide by 12,000 votes. How much he spent? Oh gosh, this is a horrible number. $1,666.66 per vote.
I hate how all these self-funders just come in, and not to say that they're bad guys at all, but I mean,
makes you really want to apply yourself, doesn't it?
Yeah, like I'm not independently wealthy. I'm a freaking teacher. Like I could never run for Congress unless I was independently wealthy. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah. I mean, you'll end up where Jeff Rotz is.
Think how many votes he could have got.
He's really qualified.
Think how many votes he could have got if he just mailed us all $1,600.
Rotz is the chairman of the Education Committee in the Indiana State Senate, and he's 90% of the people did not even consider him. All right, let's talk about the local race. We're still waiting on the results to come in.
They're still waiting on Louisville.
103 is closed. The bridge is open, but you still can't hear from there.
I was going to say the bridge is open, but it doesn't go anywhere.
It'll get you to try.
40 is still closed.
It'll get you to try.
The intersection at 103 and 40 is still.
Yep.
This is the first time I've really noticed a lot of the text messages coming in from the local candidates.
Mm-hmm.
On the commissioner side, the sheriff got very involved in the last week and was buying ads supporting the non-incumbent candidates for commissioner, which was really interesting. And with the popularity he had, I'm really interested to see how this vote total comes in later. But what I didn't notice, and my neighborhood normally gets a lot of foot traffic from candidates coming and asking for my vote. It never happened.
Really?
I never had a single candidate knock on my door.
Well, I didn't either, so that's fair.
But
I'm disappointed by that. As someone who's always knocked doors, and
it is scientifically the best way to earn a vote. Like
Brian,
$1,666.
I met Brian Clark, coroner.
Yep, current coroner. Last week's guest.
I met him before the podcast because he was canvassing my grandma's neighborhood, and I happened to be at her house. So there were some people that were doing it, and I know that I know that Susan was in Spiceland in the last week. So
there's an integrity to it. And it's tough because I've never knocked every door because I've always had access to I-360. Which is from the Republican. The party's made it available to me in different ways, and it tells you what doors to go to.
Yeah,
and it gives you directions and it makes it easy. And you're not wasting your time. So,
and also I think that Brian had a John Phillips literature in what he was handing out going door to door. So I would assume that they had traded literature. So that means John probably was also going door to door.
Yeah, there's definitely some alliances behind the scenes that they just make sense.
Right. I mean, I think when Jeremiah ran in 2018, we were handing out literature for
6 years ago.
Chad Malico, and Chad was doing the same for Jeremiah.
Like I put out signs in yards, and I had a couple different candidates, and
I think I saw like a sign exchange last night because there was a bunch of, I got out of the car at a city council meeting, and like a bunch of the Brian Clark and a bunch of those guys all had SUVs backed up, and I think they were just swapping signs to get them put in polling places probably for today or something like that.
Yeah.
He's hustled. I mean, for a corner seat, like it's not that sexy as someone who is the liaison to the corner. Like it's not, it's not a glorious position.
Dude,
other than the ability,
he's doing all this work, and then we interview him, and it's like he works 30 hours a week
for 20
and gets
grand.
paid $18,000, and he has the burden of notifying people when their loved ones died of violent death. Like,
yeah. It's a really hard job, and
you couldn't pay me my salary now to do that job.
It's hard, and I haven't worked as
I like you.
I haven't worked as closely with him as a council liaison.
You're the mind of the people.
I did work very closely with his predecessor, Stacey Guthrie, who I love and respect deeply.
Stacey's great.
Yeah, Stacey's the real. I actually met Stacey for the first time when we shared the podcast, and like we just were fast friends, and he's such a good, humble servant leader, and I appreciate the heck out of him. But I mean, we talked a lot about like all those scenarios and what's that's like, and you got to have a good person to do that. You have a bad corner like the one we had before Stacey, who we tried to run out of town and failed at.
Well, I mean, the coroner was out of town.
Yeah,
he
decided to take a job in freaking Evansville at the start of COVID. I'm still mad about it.
Insane.
He texted me after a council meeting. He's like, "You're supposed to defend me," and I was like, "Absolutely not, sir. Good day." Like, ridiculous.
Good day to you.
Yeah. Don't speak to me or my son ever again. Yeah, like that. Yeah, he was ridiculous. And then we had Stacey, who really built the office up and brought it back. And I think Mr. Clark's done a great job of continuing on with that by all metrics.
So,
Louisville's still out, by the way.
Abdul Hakim Shabazz has had multiple run-ins with a congressional candidate, Gabe Whitley, Honest Gabe, on the ballot. Gabe is running fourth right now in the race for 7th District Congress with 12% of the vote. But Abdul says that he's losing to a dead woman in the 7th District race. So I'm trying to figure out.
He is. Yes, I know this.
I'm trying to figure out which person is not alive.
It's Catherine Ping.
Kat Ping has passed.
Catherine Ping.
Kat Ping is a perennial candidate.
Passed away. Yes,
when?
She passed away. 6-8 weeks ago, something like that.
How old was she?
I have no idea. I just remember.
Kat Ping has run for Congress like 12 years in a row.
I remember.
And the yard signs would just get stuck in every public right of way in Indianapolis forever.
One of them,
You just need to look up Catherine Ping obituary, Indiana. And I remember I was listening to WIBC whenever they announced it. But Abdul, the reason I know this, Abdul was talking on WIBC or something like that, or maybe it was on the cheat sheet. I can't remember, but he said that he went to vote and he proudly voted for Catherine Ping, even though he knew she was dead. Yeah,
Is she really dead?
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, that's just funny.
Anything.
That's just funny.
I think it's her. Yeah, I'm like 99.9% sure.
Oh, see, there's 1% life left now.
0.1.
So what's
I have breaking news.
What?
Okay.
Middletown had a tornado touchdown.
Oh shoot!
My
people.
Funnel formed over Middletown and touchdown, and it is moving.
The sirens are going off.
Those are EMS sirens.
Okay, my bad.
Although they should.
I'm going to step out just for a half second.
They all go. They're supposed to go full county, aren't they?
And then there's also some radar indicated activity in Richmond right now.
Yikes! So the last when we had the tornadoes a couple months ago that were just terrible in East Central Indiana, the Republicans were actually having our Lincoln Day,
I remember. Yeah.
And like
that.
it was me and our chairman. I'm vice chair of the party, and Todd Heidi's the chair. My mom, my partner, a couple other people, and we're at the venue in Knightstown, and people are texting us. I mean, like, don't leave because there's touchdowns all around you. You need to stay where you are. And the venue people are like, it's time to go. We're trying to close up, and we're like. So it was kind of nuts, and I was like, how do we do this? So I created a route that like I was following on like Wish TV or WTHR, and whatever they were reporting, I went if they are saying something's happening here, I went the other way. And we took this convoluted route, made it home safe, and that was crazy.
Yeah, my in-laws were in town. It was my daughter's her first birthday, and they had their German Shepherd, and then like. We were all sitting at the kitchen table and the alarm went off on our phones. And I was like, well, we'll wait until like you hear the alarm, like the sirens. And no sooner do those words leave my mouth, the sirens are going off here. So Jeremiah texts us. He's like, you guys good? And we're all in the basement having a grand old time with the in-laws and their dog and our cats and my 1-year-old who was still half asleep.
I don't think there were any casualties from that. Were there?
I don't believe so.
That's such a miracle.
Yeah, I think they thought there were, and then it turned out
like
that
an old folks' home.
Yeah, it turned out that they found them. I believe is what happened. But
and poor Winchester, man. Just horrible. But I was so inspired by like the people who I know, like Josh Norris. You know Josh Norris. He literally was like the next day went over there with like equipment. Was like, how can I help you?
Yeah,
what can I do for you? And just tons of Hoosiers going and doing that. That made me really proud.
That's really cool.
There's a lot of things that really,
down at Myers Furniture and Appliance, they had box trucks and they were sending stuff like doing immediate.
I love that.
That's immediate something response. That it's easy to get discouraged in this day of age, but that to me it pulled at my heartstrings.
Mike Hacker says that he's glad he voted today because he found out his license was expired. I had this scheme I was going to try. The former ER, the Elks exalted ruler, not Stephen Hacker.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mike Hacker.
I was checking on that as well. I was like, yo guys, just a heads up.
I did have this scheme and plan that I was going to try to find the most obscure government idea I could to go vote with, just to give the folks at the polling center something entertaining to do. Today,
what do they do if they can't scan it?
I don't know. So that's
a great question.
I have my passport. I could vote with my passport. I now have the Nexus card, which allows me to transition between the U.S. and Canada. And I thought, well, that'd be a fun one to vote with. I have my sheriff's department ID card. That's a government ID that I could have tried. I had like 3 of them that I could have used.
So you just have to ask for one of those?
It's Jennifer Pace.
Oh, no, Dakota. You killed the wrong person.
Catherine Ping is alive. It's Jennifer Pace.
Oh, no. Catherine Ping. Allegedly.
Cat Ping.
Thank God
survives the election.
Thank God you covered him with an allegedly.
Tried to murder her.
Jennifer Pace.
Okay, so you guys...
Allegedly.
Okay, so go back to the results. Is Jennifer Pace beating Cat Ping too?
Yes, I think so. Hang on. This is right out of the West Wing. Wow.
What if she wins? Does the Republican Party get to caucus someone in?
Yeah, that's wild.
Or does it go to second place?
I think the precinct committee people would choose.
Man, that's...
Yeah, the precinct committee people would then get another chance at Honest Gabe. Let's see.
Could you imagine being the candidates that lost to a dead person?
This is what Abdul said.
We'd rather just
a dead person.
Just person.
You guys go away. Yeah, like how do you recover from
Jennifer
that?
Pace is currently beating Cat Ping.
Like there is none of the above, and then there is lost to a dead person.
Jennifer Pace.
That's a shame.
Jennifer Pace, 31%.
Yeah,
Cat Ping, 30%. Phil Davis, 26%. Honest Gabe Whitley, 13%, with 29% of the vote in so far for the 7th district.
Jennifer Pace is winning.
I want to ask you guys about a sign that existed in.
There were a few races that if there was a dead person in it today, I would have chosen that person over the options I had.
This is not about a dead person, but it's about a person who's maybe chosen the worst signs of all time. And I want to ask if you've seen them. Everyone's calling me right now. So
I'm sorry, party. She's in broadcasting mode.
I thought it was that podcast dance party that we were supposed to have for the, and then they like give you
that was like Sunday Morning by No Doubt, one of the greatest songs of all time. I'll have to call her back anyway. But so I think her name is Jennifer Culp. I think she's a Republican. And
CULP in
Have you
Madison
seen her
County.
signs?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's like different colors of red, and it just says "Culp," and it goes up, upward.
Yes.
It is the worst damn sign I've ever seen.
There were a lot of really bad signs this election cycle.
Yeah, but like,
I was
Please
shocked.
put them on notice. I would like to. We're killing time, Brian. Who needs to go back to sign?
But that's the
design
thing,
school? Other than Judge Lansinger, who had all kinds of issues with this sign.
and Dave McCord did not. His were great.
Yeah. Third editions for Joe.
I think, is it Bill Plummer running
Bobby
for
Plummer.
Bobby.
yeah, his
Palmer. Bill Palmer's
Palmer.
Bobby
corner.
Plummer for commissioner.
Yeah, corner.
BP.
The small red bar on top, big blue on the bottom, just does not work. You don't expect, like, visually your eye does not see that. Your eye wants to flip it.
Right.
And
breaking news: Dakota has now cracked open a beer. A moment ago, he said he was staying sober.
He
in case
feels
gets
good
called
now.
out.
He's
It's time to.
I've rechecked the radar.
We're clear. Yeah, we're clear. Everything's south.
And
We're
you
in
know
the
what these
clear,
people
baby.
do? They go on to the sign making websites. Oh,
Yeah.
Louisville's in. I need to go. But they go on these websites, and the generators are so freaking terrible.
Yeah,
And not to brag about my signs, but
your signs were awesome.
thank you. My
They were
best friend
so
from
good.
college designed them. He's a graphic
Yeah.
designer. He's very, very
yeah,
good.
yours stood out.
Yeah,
Very, very
and I'm proud of that. And I just like culp. They're down now, but north of Anderson on 69, there were 6 giant banners in a field, and a billboard right after it, which you couldn't see until the last second because of all the foliage. And it's like, why do you have 6 damn signs in a row that say culp? What is culp? Who is culp? What are they doing? It's such a damn stupid.
Tell me what it means.
I just want to meet her and be like, what inspired you to be this stupid? I'm sorry.
Tom
Here's-
Raper. Immediately if I think of 6
Wall
billboards,
drugs.
if I think of 6 billboards in a row, I call it Raper Row. There was a stretch. There's a stretch on 70.
Yeah.
There
You're
was
showing your age, old man.
Wall drug too, though, for sure.
Where there we have, like I can't remember what road started at 35 maybe, where 35 hit 70, and the next exit were like 6 billboards just stacked up, and they were all for Tom Raper RVs back in the day.
Councilman Aaron Dickin wants to see Brian's biceps as we're dancing here.
Ooh.
He's
Are we
in.
really
Hello,
doing
Mr.
this?
Dickin.
This is it says Brian biceps. We are filling time.
Show those guns off.
It's all for
All right.
you, Mr.
I gotta
Dickinley.
go.
Betsy,
Oh,
real
really?
quick, you're a big Colts fan.
Yes.
Hunter the punter leading his race.
That's
That's
really
great.
cool.
I love Hunter. That's a
63%.
good
Cool.
dude. I love his farm. He's just solid.
Farm? He's a farmer.
And next week, Indiana Fever, first home game. Season
Sure.
tickets.
Fly commercial to get there.
Huh?
You got to fly commercial to get there.
Oh, you mean in New York?
Well, no, to any favor. The Fever, they have to fly commercial.
Oh,
The
yeah,
team
yeah.
does.
That's
Yeah.
terrible. That needs to end
Yeah.
ASAP.
Also,
And
don't read Greg Doyle if you want to see what's going on with Fever. He got suspended.
I saw that.
Did he
I
really?
think that's warranted.
And they're not going to let him cover Fever games this year.
Good for him. Good for them for
Yeah.
doing that, because
He-
he's
Nice.
so cringy.
That
what
was
he
such a
did.
weird moment.
Yeah.
He was like, make the heart thing. Yeah, it was,
He's like,
I
you do that, we'll be friends or whatever.
yeah, it was weird.
like,
I
yeah,
don't think he
we'll
was
start doing it
trying
to
to be
me.
a creep, but it was still creepy.
came
yeah,
naturally.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just came
I'm glad
naturally.
he came out and apologized. Was like, I'm the problem. Like, I mean, his apology I thought was legit, but that
That's
was
true.
a really bad moment to
He had a good apology.
welcoming our Caitlin Clark.
So you are going to go a block up the road
Yes.
and get the results.
Yes,
And don't forget about us when you get them, because
I
it's a
won't.
frenzy and a panic. I know everybody wants to know,
I know.
but there's a lot of folks.
I will not
sitting at
forget
home
my
watching.
friends here
All
at
right.
Boss Hog. It's
You're-
been fun.
you're
Thank you for the
spectacular.
whiskey. It's been
All
a
right.
long night.
Take a shot of Pappy to go if you want.
Just a shot. Just take it all at
just
once.
li-
It's the
yeah.
best taken that way.
Yep, that's it.
Thank you for letting us crash. It's been a ton of fun.
Happy to have you
All right.
as always.
Love you guys.
Bye,
All right.
Betsy.
Bye,
Thank
Betsy.
you for your service.
It was
to the
great
town.
seeing you.
Betsy is one of the for those that don't know, she is one of the current county council people that is retiring. Didn't seek another term. She lived up to the term limits pledge. Yada 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 yada. That was the reason why she didn't sign up again. But she didn't jump back in like Victoria Sparks. You're not Ukrainian. So very interested to see how that one comes out as well. 7 candidates for 3 spots. 6 of them came through here. If you want
That's
to question,
impressive. Again, where else would Newcastle get, or the Henry County get their news as well informed as on Boss Hog?
well, you have to say it into the microphone for it to count, Betsy.
Yeah.
You guys are the news. You are the media, and I, as an elected official and a citizen and a voter, I super appreciate it. I think what you give, these honest and substantive conversations, are awesome. I'm glad we have it. I don't know what we'd do without it.
And here I'm gonna do my sales pitch, because for folks who don't know, I recently joined the Newcastle community. I moved here with my wife back in 2023, right, Chair? 2022. Yeah, 2022, because we're going on. Yeah,
February 22, Brian.
Time really flies. But like before I moved here, I went through by Betsy. I went through and I listened to well over like 100 something episodes of Boss Hog, and that was how I learned the community. And it was because you guys took the extra effort to interview and ask deep questions that, frankly, the voters really would never get the answers to otherwise. So that was huge for me, because then I kind of like walked into the community feeling like I knew half the things that were happening, which was really cool. So that wouldn't have happened without you guys. So yay.
We're glad to
love it.
We're glad to have you here in a part of the town. While we're vamping, the Brian Nichols Show is available.
It is
iTunes, Spotify, and where podcasts are sold.
Yes, sir. Yeah, we just did. Actually, what was my most recent episode?
Sales,
here,
marketing,
you vamp
politics.
for a second as I'm pulling up my episode.
We can just real quick. We can expect results in like 15 to 30 minutes. I believe is what,
okay. Yeah. So
what Betsy said.
I just did an episode with a guy. It was called the Dropout Multimillionaire, and this guy's whole thing, his name is Bill Will, and his whole thing is like the stuff that you learn in college is so not indicative of like success in the real world. So just teaching the ways that you can leverage mentorship and like discipline and consistency in both business but also in life to have success, which he's done. He started like 7 businesses, like wrote 3 or 4 bestsellers. So we have conversations like that over the show. It's really, really fun. And I get to talk to some really cool people that I would never get to talk to otherwise, like a multimillionaire, like dropout guy from college. And like that's just cool. So yeah, thanks.
Have another race that's been called now. 5th District Congress, Goodrich versus Sparts and the rest. Victoria Sparts has won renomination by the Republicans.
Beat old China Chuck.
39% to 33%.
All that money
called
for nothing.
4,000 votes is the separation, with 74% counted. That district is your Hamilton County, Carmel, Noblesville, on up into Muncie and Anderson as well. So that I-69 corridor, all the fastest growing communities in Indiana are right there. And
really,
yeah, yep.
It's not like Greenfield area.
Greenfield's got the big housing starts right now. Hancock County does, but historically over the last 10 to 15 years, Hamilton County has been the number 1 spot.
Whoa!
Hancock County is the fastest growing county in Indiana right now.
So what can we learn from them?
Be closer to Indianapolis.
That helps. Okay. Yeah. So how do we start moving
and be on
Henry
70.
County west?
Roundabouts.
It's coming to us, yeah.
There we go. Roundabouts it up.
Sure.
Maybe we'll say,
and we're getting our first one towards the west.
Results.
Are we?
Yep. Raider Road and 36.
Yeah, I want to see how they're going to make that work. But when the door opened, unannounced,
you thought Jefferson Shreve's hitman was coming in to take me
I
out.
was a little concerned.
Oh, no, likewise.
Oh, God, it's China Chuck.
Yeah.
He's here.
Yeah, that would have been the first thing is like, 1, how angry are they? And 2, who is it? And what are they angry at?
Some people have walk-in privileges. It's fine.
Yeah, some people, yeah. But yeah, it's a short list.
I'm totally fine with Betsy walking.
Oh yeah, I was totally fine.
But I was nervous when I heard the door.
When I heard the door open and close with like no notification, I was like, oh gosh, this could be ugly.
What did Mike see that he didn't appreciate?
Yeah. Glad Betsy stopped.
Very interesting.
Yeah, I'm messaging with somebody too that's at the thing. I was like, oh yeah,
still searching for results.
Yeah, apparently. They like Louisville's results came in on like a donkey or something. That's
ironic.
So the way that this works is that you can go to any polling place you wanted to. So
that's
even though results came in for,
how does that make sense?
They're vote centers essentially.
But
so instead of having 40, we used to have back in the day 41 individual places that you would vote, and you had an assigned polling place.
Yeah.
Today you had the choice. You could go to the RMC to vote. You could go to Mount Summit. You could have gone anywhere you wanted to. So instead of having to staff and maintain 41 polling places with 41 sets of judges, they now have 10 or 12 places that you go to, and you choose anyone you want to go. So it doesn't take as many people, and then you have 12 polling places to roll back in. The difference is that they can't decide or show what happened, say, in that school referendum for Prairie Township, because somebody may have gone to Louisville this morning, to the gathering, and voted down.
And that's where it seems like they maybe did they not consider that would add to the like tallying afterwards and all the effort into.
I think that the pros just outweigh the cons there for the county
opportunity
itself.
cost.
I remember back in the day, like all the elementary schools were voting places, and it was disruptive to the schools. And then it was also confusing at times, because I remember for voting centers, my voting place would just change randomly.
Right.
And you'd have to get up in the morning and
mine did today.
Even this morning, because I don't remember the RMC being a voting place. I remember
this is the first year it's been there.
But
it's historically been inside the
So this morning, I got on my phone real quick and checked to make sure where the voting centers were, just to make sure because the art center is the one I normally go to, just to make sure it still was, because maybe they shifted things around a little bit. But yeah, I think it was, for a while, it was a bunch of churches, and so they're kind of.
I was on my way.
Can you put a Krylon up on the screen any chance? Do you have the ability to do that anymore?
Oh,
saying that the results are imminent, et cetera, et cetera.
I don't think I can on the fly.
All right.
Make sure you get the et cetera part in.
Et cetera, et cetera.
ETC.
Final results are coming in any moment. In the next 10 minutes or so, we think we're going to have results for the Henry County election. Very close 6th District Congress still. Jefferson Shreve, 4,000 votes ahead of Mike Speedy, 72% in. The Newcastle Henry County vote may be what decides this thing when it does roll in. 412 of 574 precincts are reporting, and there are 41 precincts in Henry County.
Has anybody heard how Jeb Bush is doing?
By the way, you're welcome, Jared. He gave me a shout out.
Jeb did not qualify for the Indiana ballot this time.
Wait, Jeb Bush, was he actually running for office?
In Dakota's brain, he was.
Oh,
I love that meme of
please clap.
Of Jeb Bush. No, whenever it's got I think it was from 2016. So it's got Donald Trump red, Hillary Clinton blue, and then Jeb Bush purple, and then it's just got the whole country covered in purple.
Yeah,
and Jeb
and
Bush
he's like, yeah.
And it's his logo, his stupid logo he had with Jeb
exclamation point. Oh my
Jeb.
God.
Yeah.
Jeb Bush. What a that is a class example of a failed political campaign with hundreds of millions of dollars wasted.
That was so good.
Who else? I mean, Michael Bloomberg maybe had more of a burn money, but what are you doing?
I made a copy. I plagiarized that meme and just changed it to Kanye in 2020.
I love how you're giving context so people know which Kanye you're referring to.
Yeah, no,
not modern Kanye.
Yeah, it was 2020 whenever he was running for president.
Yeah.
And
Well,
I posted it, and I posted it and just said, "We did it."
I lived in Philly at the time, and I heard a bunch of ladies in front of me in the polling place unironically say that they are voting for Kanye.
So
I'll throw up.
Brian, tell us, this is your first time going through a general election or a primary for these kinds of races in Indiana. How does this feel compared to a Pennsylvania election cycle or a New York election cycle? The ads, the tenor, the campaign candidates. This felt very negative to us, but we're not East Coasters. We're Midwest nice.
I was gonna say this wasn't that mean. New York gets really, really violent. Upstate New York, especially with just for some context for New York State, for example, New York State has almost always been controlled at some level by the Democratic Party. The New York State Republican Party was able to maintain some control of the New York State Senate, and they had the governorship up until 2004 or 2 when George Pataki left, and then it was Eliot Spitzer. And from that point forward, it was all the elections turned hyper negative, because then there was blood in the water to know the Democratic Party could take over the entire state. So they just went hard, and every race thereafter turned into just constant, pardon the expression, but a pissing match of who can be more crass,
Italian.
Basically, I mean, honestly, and also New York State politics is notoriously corrupt. Goodness, Sheldon. What's his name? Oh, I forgot his name. Sheldon something. He was one of those head of the assembly for years, and he actually is in jail now because he was found guilty of like extortion and taking campaign bribes and stuff. But like, it was going from that environment to here. I mean, just in general, the Midwest is such a much better culture. It really has been a breath of fresh air, both in terms of like living here and also in terms of the politics too.
It's so funny that you mentioned that. Like, Indiana is, Hoosier hospitality, known for all that stuff. And then I was following this guy named Paul Johnson, and Zach was following him too. And he did what's called a transcon in the ultra running community. Basically, you run from Los Angeles to New York City. And
Forrest.
In like 52 days or 60 days, something like that.
Yeah, the current record is 44 days.
Yeah, he was going to do that, but he kind of bailed on that early.
Yeah, he bailed on it super early.
I was bummed about it, but he ran through Henry County on Eclipse Day.
He ran
that guy. Yeah, okay. I heard about that guy. Yeah,
but by Summit Lake State Park.
Yeah.
I think I called him Forrest when I heard about that too.
Anyway, it was a super impressive run that he did, and it was for a charitable organization, like $600,000 for a veterans charity.
RWB.
And but anyway, my point was that since doing the run, he has described Indiana as the worst state that he ran in.
Oh, he right away initially, right when he got to Indiana,
he was as soon as he got to Terre Haute,
very unhappy about it
because I'm sure I've experienced this. I experience it all the time. I'm sure that you have too, road runners. And people, I don't know what it is. In my head, I think, oh, this guy's just a fat, lazy slob, and he's jealous that I'm doing something to better myself. That's just how I make it up to myself.
That is a conclusion, for sure.
I like it whenever a car purposefully drives close to me on the road and I have to get off the side and then I smell cigarette smoke. I'm like, oh, yeah. So you just are jealous. But anyway, that's what he has talked so much crap about the state of Indiana because he's like, trucks were constantly just changing lanes on purpose to try to push me off of the shoulder of the road. And
he had an escort vehicle.
Right.
He had vehicles around him.
Wow. He said that it was so bad that he started carrying his trekking poles with him all the time so that he could swing him at cars to get him out of
real
the lane.
bad. And then when he passed,
holy cow,
and he ran Highway 36 east of Indianapolis. He picked up 36 in Indy and came out. And I would love to have gotten a group together and picked up. I even figured out that like Sulphur Springs and Mount Summit are 5K apart, and
it's just unfortunately the wrong spot. The wrong date. It was
it was just the day. I had stuff going on, and I just could not. Like I worked part of the day, and I could not justify like hey, to my family they were at my house for the eclipse. I gotta go run with this guy.
Plus, I had these headphones are literally falling apart.
Yeah.
In my ear.
Patreon.com/Boss Hog of Liberty if you want to donate to the headphones.
No more of this falling in my ears.
Me, Zach, and Jeff, and then my father-in-law. We were all going to meet up with him in Mount Summit, Sulphur Springs, and then run to Mount Summit. But I was like, bro, you seriously
82%. 82% of the vote is in the 3rd Congressional District. The race of Miss Christy Avery, the wonderful longtime patron of this program, 542 votes separates Marlon Stutzman from Tim Smith.
Is that close?
24% to 23% for a congressional seat.
Man, he was just zoomed in on my campground. That's not good.
Goodbye to your camp.
I'm sure you strapped down your trailer, didn't you? Mike Guffey, we are still waiting on the results, my friend. We are still waiting on the results. They are currently opening the ballots from Louisville right now, and once those come in, we should have a final tally. The county clerk releases them all at the same moment.
You guys want to try some while we wait? Some roasted garlic oysters.
All right, the final Patreon.
Sounds awesome.
Final Patreon snack.
So I have.
You got to do it. What's the vote? Are we going to try?
Sure, go for it.
You got to explain what it is.
He just did. It's the last bag of chips I got at Epcot. So this is the question I have.
Well,
so I saw the picture.
ASMR.
When you vote, you scan your ballot into a machine.
So
do they then scan them again?
Here's the difference. They're oyster potatoes. When I voted, I put mine in a sealed envelope because dead people can't vote. So I voted on Saturday. If somebody had hit me with a truck on Sunday, they would have found my envelope, pulled it out, and thrown it away.
Did it make you put an envelope because dead people can't lick the envelope?
So they had glue sticks.
Dry mouth.
There was a glue stick. I'm gonna try my chip now. Should I try this chip, Brian?
I don't know how to feel.
The initial smell isn't horrible off one chip. I smell like soy sauce.
I don't know how to feel about the chip.
Oysters.
I like it, but I don't. But I do.
This could be an aphrodisiac. You may not make it through the show, Brian.
It's not.
You
horrible.
might not make it through the show.
It's not that horrible.
It's not that horrible, but it's something weird. It's like,
well, I think it's the.
It's not supposed to be crunchy in my brain. Like this needs to be
squished.
Yeah,
it's fake fish. It's imitation fish.
Yeah, your brain.
No, tell me why it tastes just like oysters.
The aftertaste
so much like oysters.
Aftertaste is oyster.
That's wild.
I can't wait to go home and
really
give my wife a kiss after eating those chips.
I know. My wife hates seafood.
So does mine.
Oh, she's gonna love that. Wow, that's weird.
Now listen to the ingredients. We got potatoes, obviously.
This is the kind of content you get when you join Patreon, though. Is this what we're giving you a free taste?
Yeah, you're welcome.
Patreon.com/BossHogLiberty. That's where you go to get bonus content. Potatoes, soybean oil, roasted garlic, oyster flavor seasoning, which is maltodextrin, salt, sugar, MSG, and fructose, glucose.
No abbreviations on the show. Monosodium glutamate.
And anchovy.
Madison Square Garden.
Actual anchovy
is an ingredient. Oyster is listed as an ingredient.
Wow, that's why it tastes so oystery.
Crab is listed as an ingredient. Soy sauce.
We are still waiting on the results. We're not burying the lead, folks. We're just reading the label off the potato chips.
We got some whey powder in here. Garlic, paprika, yeast.
This is premium content.
Dakota is having his own filibuster, but they don't print phone books anymore.
And
so he is now reading the Lay's bag from China.
Guess what the last ingredient is on these?
Salt.
No. Aspartame.
What?
We got diet chips bitches over here.
Oh,
really?
Sugar-free.
Oh, wait. Look at the bottom. It's -50. I bet that's why.
-50.
Yeah.
Whenever my son sees writing like this on the credits that roll on Bluey, he goes, blah, 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 blah.
That's what it says. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, can I have
Jennifer Pace is still leading Kat Ping 31 to 30%.
Man, I'm telling you, you got to retire from politics when you get beat by dead people.
That's wild, though.
It's time to tap out.
How much the votes in?
29% is in. It's a four-way race, and the late Jennifer Pace. I haven't found an obituary, Dakota. You really need to find that. He's reported. Dakota Davis is reporting that Jennifer Pace is no longer with us.
I'm reporting that on the authority
all of the candidates
of Abdul Hakim Shabazz.
Wow, when you have like a handful, it is really concentrated, and it's really,
I think
really.
Oh, there we go. They've called the race. The 6th district race has been called. Jefferson Shreve.
Wow,
80% of the vote is in.
Where do he end up?
He's going to end up at 28% so far. Mike Speedy second, 22. Jameson Carrier third.
So that was actually relatively close.
Bill Frazier has moved into 4th place now with 57%, or 5,700 votes, 10%, and State Senator Jeff Rotz at 9%.
I can't find an obituary either. I hope that Abdul was telling the truth.
Hopefully nobody's dead, allegedly.
A lot of trouble there. So Jefferson Shreve is going to be the 6th district Republican nominee.
Pinch a bunch and just like, it's so much more concentrated.
Essence of
kids. Remember, you too can go to Congress if you sell your business for enough money.
That's the other thing too that just like does blow me away, that how much money people will just toss into these elections, knowing full well that you could spend hundreds of thousands of dollars and it mean nothing. Like
millions.
Not even move the needle. $40 million to run for governor?
That's
amongst
insane. All the candidates, $40 million.
That's just nuts.
I don't understand how Jefferson Shreve pulled off a win. Like it.
Name ID, man.
It blows.
That's
Name
100%. That's 100% what it is.
Name ID.
People wonder why Trump won. It's because Trump was literally the biggest name in the world.
Mike Braun has 40% of the vote tonight because he's a sitting U.S. senator and people have known his name for 7 years.
Yes, bingo.
He was an underdog state representative, state senator, and he beat 2 sitting congressmen for his seat to win the U.S. Senate seat. And then he had the Trump endorsement because he was a senator when Trump was there.
Yep.
And that's the 40%. And then you get, instead of getting a head-to-head race, you don't have ranked choice voting. So when you have 6 or 7 people running against each other, when you can put together 35 or 40%, you're going to win. Braun sitting at 39%, Suzanne Crouch at 22%, 72% of the state's in.
You know what's really funny? So my wife and I will watch Mr. Beast videos because, of course, we do. And there's one video.
My wife and I will watch Mr. Beat because we're good, civic-minded people.
I appreciate that. Look at you.
Mr. Beat.
Those are good.
But
those chips are delicious.
They've grown on me a lot.
Mm-hmm.
One and done. I'm good, thanks. So, I'm still washing it out with a spotted cow.
There's one episode of Mr. Beast where like they have to
surf and turf.
There's only like 5 members left, and in order to win, one of them has to be ended up voting as the person to win, but they had to vote away the other people. And they nobody would be willing to vote themselves off. And it was just like they're at a standstill. And then one guy was like, let's try ranked choice voting.
We have results.
In 15 minutes.
We have results?
In 15 minutes, they had it solved.
All right. We got to.
If that doesn't solve why we need ranked choice voting.
I swear to God.
I am monopolizing this podcast. No, I'm done. Okay.
All right.
That was my way of stalling for you as you pulled it up.
I'm getting the results there on the Courier Times Facebook page.
Yeah.
Here we go. Travis Wyke.
So, Judge David McCord, 58%. Joe Lansinger, 41%. So you're going to see David McCord winning a reselection. County Council at Large. It appears that Jay Davis, Scott Coons, and I believe Chad Malacote. Double check my math there, folks. But Jay Davis, Scott Coons, and Chad Malacote are the top 3 vote getters.
The difference between Chad Malacote and Clint Weaver was that 44 votes?
Jay Davis 3162. Coons 2596. Malacote 2071. Looking to the commissioners' races, Steve Dellinger is going to carry on with 57%. Dave Cantrell 42%. And in an incredibly close Southern District Commissioner race, Susan Huhn appears to have unseated Bobbi Plummer, 2,910 to 2,795.
Ooh, wow, it's close.
Very, very close. 51 to 49, essentially, with Susan Huhn. So that's a change. That's a definite change there for Southern District, which means that we will have a opening on the county council there as well, where somebody in that eastern side of the county is going to have to get appointed to replace Susan Huhn on the council.
Yep.
So,
but I think there's a couple of people that's tried for at large that live in that area. Actually,
county coroner. Looking here, why am I not finding it, Mr. Dakota?
County coroner for Henry County.
There we go.
Brian Clark retains his seat with 58% of the vote.
So let's read off the council here. Jay Davis, the top vote getter, 3162. Second place is Scott Coons, 2596. And third place, Chad Malacote, 2071. Fourth place appears to have been Clint Weaver, 2027. Fifth, and these are all fractionally different, so I need to write this down and double check myself. But fifth appears to have been Adam Thompson, 1996, 13.23%. Once again, the top 3 do get selected or elected. Immediately after that, we would have we'd have Kyle Allen, 10.94. And John Phillips, 10.51. So 1,586 for Phillips and 1,651 for Kyle Allen.
It's amazing how close that race was.
That's incredibly tight.
Your Blue River referendum lost.
The Blue River referendum went down 83% to 16%. They voted to not raise the taxes.
Good for them. I mean, that's my bias coming out, but good
I know,
for them.
I know that that some people, Kay Koger mentioned in a chat that it was for teacher salaries, which is great, but that didn't account for all of it. And they couldn't really tell you where all of it was going. Like, as a matter of fact, I think it was like double. Like, they needed $200,000 for salaries, but the referendum was going to bring in $400,000, but they couldn't tell you what to do.
They were planning a huge administration building, which is
it was like a $5 million. Was it like it was millions of dollars?
It's always the case when we talk about teacher pay is how much is being siphoned off by people at the top.
And that's inherently the problem with these systems. When you have systems that are built,
it's also how Mike Speedy got rich,
to incentivize the corruption behind the scenes, and you don't put systems in place to help check that, then it's going to consistently yield that type of an outcome. So then you have to reconsider how do we change the way we do this?
Just because they voted down the tax increase in the referendum does not mean that the citizens of that community are against paying their teachers more.
Right. But and also, like, and this is from a principled standpoint, I do not like property taxes from the standpoint, especially for older citizens who they have a fixed income, and all of a sudden having a property tax increase can be a huge impact for them. But also, I mean, the idea that you're just being taxed on something you already own. I hate that from a moral, principled standpoint.
We have a Republican precinct committeeman tie.
What?
103 votes to 103 votes. Tom Saunders, former state representative, tied with Justin Thompson. So I assume that they will either do a recount or a coin flip to determine who is the precinct committeeman.
You should do rock, paper, scissors.
And if you're going to have a open seat on the council, I think that's going to matter. Really interesting. So the headline there today, Judge McCord is going to be reelected, at least through the primary here. Commissioner Dellinger continues on. Brian Clark on the ballot for the first time continues on. Susan Huhn, incredibly close margin, 2,910 to 2,795. So 51 to 49, Huhn over Plummer. And then your three councils moving on appear to be Malakote, Davis, and Coons. 6th District Congress for Henry County only. Jefferson Shreve won Henry County, 24.09%, so 1,374 votes. Second place in the county is our state senator, Jeff Rotz, 18.97%. Third place was Mike Speedy. Bill Frazier wound up with 17%. Jameson Carrier wound up in 5th place in Henry County, 1,700 votes there.
Okay, so maybe you can explain this one to me. State Rep 33rd District.
Yeah, so we have a precinct or two. I think Liberty Township is actually not in Corey Criswell's district.
104 people voted in that one.
Yeah, so it's a very, very small portion of Henry County is actually in that.
Yeah, the one I'm seeing is votes was 5-4 on the results.
I see 34 to 70.
Oh, must be looking at.
Yeah, J.D. Prescott versus Greg LeMaster. Prescott 70%.
This was a John Bartlett versus Jim Phillips.
That's Stony Creek Township.
Okay, yeah.
We actually have three folks that represent Henry County.
Yeah. I was like, just to see an election that had 9 votes.
Yeah, John Bartlett is going to.
Yeah, it's depressing.
I'm sorry. Okay, yeah. All right. Let me rephrase that. Those are the Democrat candidates for that race.
Yeah, so there were 30.
So John Bartlett is 855 votes so far. He's going to win. Yeah, that's the story.
30,896 registered voters. Total ballots cast 6,975. 6,014 Republican ballots pulled. 921 Democrat. 40 nonpartisan and 12 blank.
854 votes in Henry County for Jennifer McCormick, the Democrat. So Joe Biden, 815 Democrat votes in the community.
If you're interested in any of the other races, precinct committeemen and things like that, then you can find it on the Courier Times
thanks, Travis.
Facebook page. But once again, we want to thank our sponsors that have sponsored us through the candidate series. that have allowed us to do all these interviews and bring you guys the interviews. And those are Wyland's Flowers, and then also the Ink and Ale Brew House, which is opening tomorrow. They have their grand opening to the public Wednesday, May 8th in Newcastle, Indiana. It is a family-friendly establishment, so take your kids for lunch.
And they have food.
Yeah.
That's right. I'm very excited.
They have a
very excited.
sweet-looking burger menu.
Delicious.
You look up their menu online if you're local, because it's a good menu. It's got varied. It's got some stuff all over. I'll tell you what will be interesting to do is you could do it like a tenderloin crawl in downtown Newcastle.
At this point, yeah.
I would love that.
Because there are a couple different places. Kai's has got a good one.
Zach's back on the gluten, or Brian's
Who
back
am
on
I?
the glutens.
What's my name?
He's
It's
literally
after
zooming
9
in
o'clock.
on my camera.
Once again, Dakota's paying attention to the news and not his own show. Wow. Yeah, there's a congressional seat that's coming down to hundreds of votes tonight. Hundreds of votes.
And a possibly dead person, allegedly.
And maybe a dead person winning.
Can't find an obituary, so
Allegedly. Everything today has been allegedly.
right.
And if you tuned out before we added that caveat, well, we're covering ourselves now. That's shame on you for not sticking around.
All right, final thoughts here as we now have our results in. Any surprises or takeaways today in the election results, Zach? Anything we need to cover?
I mean, Susan Huhn unseating Bobbi Plummer is pretty surprising. And that's just interesting because that's the anti-win contingent now kind of even going at itself a little bit, even though the win's kind of a dead issue. So it's kind of interesting to see how that's going. But no, it'll be interesting to see how that works because the commissioners is, to me, I still can wrap my head around 3 people. And it just takes 2 of them to agree on something and it's done. So that's fascinating to me to see how that goes. But other than that, no, not much. Had a good time at the Broad Street Cruise and kind of back to normal, and I'm looking forward to the month of May.
Very, very ready for that.
Glad we dodged the weather today.
Yep, Henry County's no longer even in any watches now.
Did you see that on the screen? It was literally red around
everything
like
but us.
Yeah, but us.
Henry County is God's community.
I was going to say, look up the big guy.
It's always sunny in Newcastle.
I come from Philadelphia. Bring my energy over. I love it.
Brian, final thoughts from you.
I have done 6 hours of podcasting today. I am tired. I was also up at 3:30 this morning, which why? Because I had to get things done. So other than that, though, voting was very easy today. Thought that was really good. Thumbs up to the local team here at the art museum, or art. Yeah, the museum center. The place down the road that I walked to, it was really easy to get there. But no, other than that, I think everything from a state and congressional standpoint was expected. I think we all kind of expected Mike Braun to do pretty well, namely because of the name recognition. I think that also kind of leads the day, is that it's not so much the money you put into the campaigns, it's just the name recognition. So if you are a candidate and you're looking to learn something from this, get out involved,
start a business,
get involved,
sell it for millions.
That will definitely help.
And you too can be a congressman.
But definitely get involved in your community. That I think is one of the biggest things you can take away here. If you want to have success, get your name more and more recognized. So yeah,
woohoo! D-squared.
Sean Default's in the chat right now, and he's saying that only 22.58% of county registered voters voted.
So 1/5, basically.
I mean, it's like 6,000 30.
I used to have strong feelings about that, of trying to get people to vote as much as possible, but anymore, the older I get, the more my opinion has changed, and the more I think that if you don't care, don't vote.
Yep.
If you don't know, don't vote.
I would rather have a no vote than a misinformed vote.
My old boss, who's retired now, one of the things that he told me whenever I topped out and became started doing things on my own in my job, responding to emergencies and everything, one of the things he hammered in my head was, no decision is better than a bad decision. So, and I think that goes for voting too.
Yep. Final update here. The District 69, Brian Sevilla versus Jim Lucas, Boss Hog alum. 51% for Sevilla, Lucas 49%, 65% of the race in. That race is down to like 50 votes either way right now. Really interested to see how that one shakes out. Thank you to all of the candidates that ran. March Madness was happening when we started the candidate series, and now next week we are plumb into the month of May. Very, very tedious, very long process, but I think this show was able to have some very real conversations. And I would imagine that the things that were said on here probably shaped the difference in the way some folks voted. In this Susan Huhn and Bobbi Plummer race was one of the closest I can ever remember in the time we've done this show. And then council races too. My God, those council races are a couple votes either way. With hundreds of votes cast, they're 20 or 30 votes either way makes a difference. Showing up, if you care about a candidate showing up, you can put them over the top and you can definitely make a difference. Should be noted that the sheriff did get very involved, and he was very popular 2 years ago. He was sending texts, he was doing full page ads, and he was very much supporting that Susan Huhn campaign. And you see that maybe that pushed this number over in the last week. Interesting to see, but that's probably the biggest upset. Definitely the story to take away here is that you had a county commissioner upset again in a primary, which happened 4 years ago. Kim Cronk lost 4 years ago, and I guess so did Janos as well. Ed Janos lost. So once again, 4 years later, we have incumbent commissioners going down in the primary. It's happened a few times now, and it happened with Butch Baker as well. Ed Tarantino beating Butch Baker. So this 3 election cycles in a row we've had an incumbent commissioner.
Because at one point, almost the entire county government turned over.
Yeah,
in like the
2020 or so.
This is why the primary matters, because it's when you actually do affect. It's not much of a secret. I hope that we have a strong contingent of candidates in the fall, and we have a lot to talk about in here. Particularly when you have a hometown girl running for governor in Indiana and Henry County. But very likely you selected your county commissioners for this county today. Third election in a row that we've seen an incumbent Republican commissioner overturned or tossed out. So it's real stakes. It's the most powerful office in county government is county commissioner.
One thing I'd like to say before we go is talking to so many of the candidates whenever we were doing the candidate series, it always makes it difficult to make a decision in some of the races, because we get to a point to where we have really good people who are seeking the same job, and you talk to both of them, you realize that they're both genuine individuals who only want the best for their community. That being said, if you're one of the people who unfortunately didn't make it today, then please do not just step out of county politics altogether. Your voice matters, and the county is a better place whenever anyone is involved. So keep going, even if you lost. There are plenty of other things and ways that you can get involved. Even if you lost today, then I'm sure that there's other times that you can come on to this podcast and talk to people again, because I don't think that there was a person who ran for office that we had come through these doors that wasn't active in the community in some other way. So, that energy matters for sure.
Special thanks to Wylands Flowers and Canal Brew House for being a part of the candidate series. This would not exist without them. So in the month of May, send somebody flowers. Mother's Day is Sunday. Send your mom some flowers, and go get yourself a new burger down at Canal. Next week we are back to Thursday. So Thursday edition. Maybe Zach got with NBC and we got our guest booked, and if not, we'll figure it out. Yeah. And then the race edition is 2 weeks from today. 2 weeks from today will be the Boss Hog Liberty race edition.
Also, shout out to you guys, because candidate series A+. So added that too.
Thank you, Brian.
Yeah, very good. All right. We will we'll see you all next Thursday.
My breath just tastes like oysters.